Hey everyone, welcome to our Soul Tribe Huddle tonight. I feel like I'm back, which is really cool. I know it's been a while since I've been, since I've taken Huddle, which is really cool. So tonight I have something really exciting for you. I just really want to talk about fulfillment, what it means, in terms of success, how do we get it? What's it all about? And I've got some pretty cool people sharing tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to go and share my screen. So just bear with me for a moment. If I can just find this. Okay, I'm going to have to put up my name, I think. Okay, now can you see this? Can you see this? Yep, cool. Oh, video's unavailable. Well, that sucks. Let's see if we can do that again. Sorry guys, just bear with me for a moment. I did have it all set up and it's not working for me. Let's see. Do that again. Hopefully it's going to work this time. Oh, damn. Okay, that's all right. We won't be able to start with that. It was such a cool video, but that's all right. Go back. I'm going to have to find it again. I'm going to have to hunt it down because I've got to play it for you guys.
Do you sometimes find the fear of what could happen is making nothing happen in your life? If so,
in people's lives? So my metrics are, I want to find out what's driving you. I want to see, is it healthy or unhealthy? You can have two people be driven by significance though, and do it with a different set of rules. That's the second piece I measure. The beliefs or rules of how to fulfill that target. But I want to be more clear about something. An extraordinary life is life on your terms, and there's two parts. Part one to have an extraordinary life is mastering the skill of the science of achievement. How do I take what I envision and make it real? And how do I do that quicker, faster, better, easier? The ability to manifest what you come up with and make it real, like you've done with your company,
yes,
that's a skill set. I spend an unbelievable amount of time helping people do it faster, quicker, better, showing them the shortcuts, teaching them the strategies, modeling what works so you can save yourself a decade. But I would submit to you that having done this for 38 years with, 50 million people at this stage, I can tell you that the science of achievement, there are a lot of people that are damn good at that, and they still don't have an extraordinary life. They have an extraordinary life, you see it as extraordinary, but I get the phone call from the multi-billionaire who tells me he wants to do this thing on his business, but what he really find out is he's miserable as hell, and he's hoping somehow I'm gonna rub off on him on that side too.
Right.
And so I give him what he asked for, the change in his business, but I also give him what he needs, which is the change inside of him. So the second skill is the art of fulfillment. If you want an extraordinary life, you can't just achieve, you gotta be fulfilled. As simplistic as that sounds, but it's an art. It's not a science.
Sure.
It's a science to making money, come on. Any age, any color, any background, any gender, if you do these things, you'll have an abundance of money. You do these things, you're gonna have too much month at the end of the money. You're gonna have financial stress, right? Body. Everyone's biochemically different, but you and I both know there's fundamental rules, laws. There's a science to the body. You violate that science, you're gonna have disease, you're gonna have low energy. You align with that, you're gonna have an abundance of energy. It's gonna affect everything in your life. It's a science. Fulfillment's not like that. Fulfillment is as different as our human beings. You wanna know what God or the universe likes? Look at the jungle, look at the forest.
Right.
It's diverse, right? So most people think, well, I wanna get that, because they've been modeling somebody else, and that might work on how to achieve something. It'll never work for what to fulfill you. How many people you know, like you, got what you thought you wanted and you weren't fulfilled?
Right.
And that, I always tell people, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure, because if you go at something and you fail and you're an achiever, you don't fail. You go, I learned something, I'll just try something else.
Right.
I'm gonna still get there. But when you succeed and you're not happy, so a perfect example of this, I mentioned in the seminar you were there because it hit me about a year and a month ago, we lost what I consider a national treasure, Robin Williams. And I asked people, how many of you love Robin Williams? Everybody raising their hand all around the world, right? He made people laugh, people were touched by him. So how good was he at the science of achievement? I mean, he wanted to be a great comedian, make the whole world laugh, he did. He wanted to have his own TV show, he did. He wanted the #1 show, he did it. He wanted to make movies, he did. He wanted to have an Academy Award for not being funny. Dramatic, and he did it, right?
He did it, yeah.
He said he wanted a beautiful family. He achieved everything, and he hung himself.
That's crazy.
And I know recently someone's saying, well, you know, he had dementia, he had drug abuse, he had alcohol abuse most of his life because he made everybody happy but whom?
Himself.
That's the ultimate failure. So if I had no other message to offer your viewers, and you let me give it to them right now, I'll tell you what I believe. I believe our lives are controlled by one force, decisions. I certainly believe in force greater than myself, call it God if you will, grace, whatever you want to call it, the universe. But I also believe it gives us choices. And the decisions we make control us much more than the conditions we meet. It's not the conditions, it's your decisions. Decisions of what to believe, decisions what to do, decisions of what to give. I say to people, think about, you know, look back 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, and think of a decision you made. That if you would have made a different decision, you'd have a totally different life today. Better or worse, I don't know, but totally different. The most important decision you can make above any on the face of the earth is deciding that no matter what happens in your life, no matter what happens, you're gonna live in a beautiful state. The decision to say, I am not gonna suffer, that if suffering arises, pain's one thing, suffering's another. Suffering is when you're like, suffering could be worry, it could be anger, it could be frustration. It's anything that takes you out of a beautiful state. And here's what people don't get. You can end suffering by stop focusing on yourself and focus on something you want to serve greater than yourself. Your children, your wife, your mission, your life. You can get out of it in an instant because the nature of the human mind is to constantly compare things. Your mind, your brain is a 2 million year old device. And it is not designed to make you happy. It's designed to make you, it's designed to make you survive.
Right.
And that's why it's always looking for what's wrong. But it used to be what's wrong, a saber-toothed tiger, so I can protect myself. Now people are worried about what people think about them, or do they have enough money when 2/3 of the planet lives on $2 a day, and you're making $38,000, you're rich. The poorest of the poor in our country are considered rich. That's not, I'm not saying they should stay that way.
Right.
But you can only build on success. My goal would have you consider something. Life is short. We don't know how short it's gonna be. But if you only had a week to live, I bet you wouldn't allow yourself to suffer over a little crap that makes you crazy normally. I think you would probably spend time with those you love, you would do what you love, you'd take awe in a sunset, you'd smell the air, you would take in everything in those final moments that you possibly do. So my thing is, why wait?
Right.
Right, why wait? Why not just decide that if I start to suffer, I know the solution, because suffering is me obsessing about me. You might say, it's not me, I'm worried about my kids because they're not doing well. No, you're worried that you haven't done enough for your kids. It's about you still, right?
Yes.
You know, you're worried about what was done or what you should have done or what shouldn't have done. And you can end that in an instant by becoming aware of it and saying, I have made the most important decision of all.
Right.
I'm gonna live in a beautiful state. Because here's what's gonna happen. Anybody watching, you may lose a family member, you probably will. Somebody may get cancer. Your business the government might change the rules. They might change things radically that you can't even do anything about it. You might go bankrupt. You might get divorced. I'm not saying anybody will, but no one knows what's gonna really happen in your life. Life's full of uncertainty, but here's what you can know. You can decide no matter what happens, you're gonna have a great time. if somebody like Viktor Frankl can be locked up in Auschwitz and come out of that and experience finding joy in the middle of Auschwitz, then human beings have a capacity they've undersold themselves on. We think that the outside world determines how we feel. If people have to behave a certain way, if your husband or your wife or your kids or your coworkers or whoever, your boss, has to behave a certain way for you to be happy, and if they don't, you're unhappy, then you're always going to be unhappy, because the more people around you, the more they're going to change that, because they're all human, right? My invitation is, as great as it is to achieve, more important to enjoy. Right. And if you can enjoy every moment in that state, when you're feeling loving and playful and passionate and curious and awe, you treat other people 100 times better than when you're feeling frustrated, pissed off, overwhelmed, worried, stressed, or feeling sorry for yourself. Right. You're going to be a better parent, you're going to be a better lover, you're going to be a better business person, you're going to have a better life. So my soliloquy is, decide. Decide today. And actually say, what if I cut it off? What if I said, I'm not willing to settle and I'm just gonna live in a beautiful state? Doesn't mean you won't feel bad, it doesn't mean you won't stay there. You instantly change. But what the hell is success? It's hitting an expectation. And I always tell people, man, trade your expectations for appreciation, and it's a whole new world instantly. If you can appreciate this moment, if you can't find ecstasy in this moment, in a conversation with a friend and looking in your wife's eyes, being with your children, going on a run, if you can't find ecstasy now, I'm here to tell you, more money, more people, more love, more business, more anything is not going to give you more ecstasy. If you can't do it here now, you're not going to do it there when you got more. So why not do it now and have a rich life right now? I tell people, money, that's one thing. Like having financial abundance, there's skills, that's a science. But wealth, it's a decision. It's like you can be wealthy right now. I live in Fiji a good portion of the time. There are these villagers there. They're the richest people I know. They're happy, they laugh, they love, they don't give a damn about the economics. Other people say they're poor. When I first went there, I was trying to do things for them. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm so happy. Wealthy people come over from the United States and they go travel around and try to figure out what to do, and they're gonna spend 9 years to do this and this and this so they can finally sit down and be happy. And the Fijian guy goes, why don't you sit on the beach right now, dude, and experience it? Why spend the 9 years? Why not have it now? That's my invitation.
Sorry, guys, I am here. It's just technical issues. So let's decide. Let's make a decision. Now, one of the things that I'm just going to take you through some little activities. Just make sure you've got a pen, paper, something you can write with, because you're going to be writing some things down. Cool. Look at you guys who are already organized. So when we talk about fulfillment is emotions, right? It's all about your heart. It's doing stuff that makes you feel alive. It makes you feel good. It's really all about heart and passion and love and all of that, right? So what we're going to do I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm going to give you only a really short space of time to actually answer them, because that is your heart. That is your intuition that jumps in. If you have any longer time, what happens is your head jumps in and it starts making things logical, making it right. You don't want that. You want to come straight from your heart. So I'm going to be asking you some questions, because you guys are going to be making a decision tonight. You're going to be making decisions. But I'm just going to take you through a few things. First of all, we're going to talk about have, do, be. You guys will already know about have, do, be. And so I'm going to ask you to write down now, and I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do it. Hang on, just let me put my little stopwatchy thingy on, my little stopwatch clock. Okay, now I want you to write down 5 material things that you want to have. And you've got 30 seconds starting from now. 5 seconds. Stop. Time is up. So pop them in the chat if you want to. If you've got 5 things, if I've done this exercise before and I got 3. So if you got 5, you did really well. So that is the things that you want on your heart, right? That's not something that you've had to sit for, 5 minutes and think about. This is actually something that feels really good to you. So if you want to pop them in the chat, go for it. Share them a little bit. Have, do, be is what do you want to have, do, and be, Angel? That's what that's about, honey. Bus, car, boat, home, ride on lawnmower. I love it, Sarah. Ride on lawnmower. That's fantastic. Love it. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do now is I'm going to ask you to write down 5 things. Just reset that. 5 things you want to do. Right, starting from now. Ten, 8 seconds. Okay, stop. Time is up. Awesome. So you got travel, did you, Angel? Pop them in the chat if you want to. I like this baby clothing items that I need. House, car, beautiful interior of my home. I love that you got baby clothing first. That's really cool. And travel is cool too. Yes, I got travel as well for mine. What other things did you put down that you want to do? And honestly, it's okay if you've only got a few, because those are the things that are on your heart the most. So I want you to keep these so that you can see them. Okay, go to Japan, Germany, success in biz, build, retreat. Fantastic. Car, rental, property, 100K in savings, out. What's that? And shoes?
Louis Vuitton shoes, the red soled shoes.
Oh, the L, right. Louis Vuitton, of course. I didn't see that. Nice. Travel, yes. Fantastic. Right. Now, own a house, travel. Missed the whole second one because my Zoom froze. Well, that's a shame. Holiday, South Island, scenic train ride. Oh, that sounds nice, Michelle. Oh, scenic train ride. Be debt free. Fabulous, Curry. Right, love these. Now we're going to write down 5 things you want to be. Now think about, I haven't given you the time yet. Think about attributes that you like, things that how you want to show up, anything like that. Those are all things to be. Can you not hear me, Michelle? Are you having trouble hearing me? Oh, have you got noise around you? Okay, right. All right, so you guys are ready then? I'm going to put the timer on. Start. 5 things you want to be. Really interested to know what you guys put down for this. Really interested. Now, it's okay if you have to think about this. I can see you thinking about this, Michelle, and it's okay. You'd be normal. But it's also a sign that you really need to get in touch with your heart a little bit more. All right, time's up, guys. So what did you put? Did you put anything, Michelle? Nothing. Oh, my goodness. Successful, independent, motivated, resilient, consistent. Love it, Angel. Beautiful. So maybe you can do this on yourself, Michelle. You can give yourself 30 seconds and you can do it again. That would be, so if you know what you're kind of thinking about. Strong, independent, confident, loved, successful. Love that, Curry. I say these to myself every day. That's great, Angel. NMD. Love it, Sarah. Financially abundant, successful, confident teacher. Love it, honey. Perfect. Ah, NMD. She forgot that one. That's all right. That can be your over 30-second one. I was thinking you mean like when I grow up. Oh, are you not grown up yet? I love that. You don't have to grow up. Who wants to grow up anyway? It's overrated. Successful, happy, kind, enjoying my journey. Great, Cat. Eloquent, funny, bold, NMD, successful. I love how you put NMD in there too, Kieran. But this to be my full-time job. That's great. Fantastic. Well, that's a good thing to be. Okay, so I had things like, for mine, I had like leader, public speaker, you know, things like that. So you can be however you want to show up in the world, really, is, you know, how do you want to show yourself to other people? That's what do you want to be means. Okay, so now I want you to really go into those things that you've written down, and I want you to write down why you want those things. Why? Because we've got to go into our heart for this one. It's not about just wanting it in your headspace. You've got to go right into your heart, because that's where that fulfillment comes in. And that's when you're more able to make a decision around how you're going to make this actually happen.
Do you mean like why we want the home and why we want the
Yep.
car and
Yep.
why we want to travel?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And you don't have to write a big book. It might only be just one little sentence for each one.
Are we going off the things material first?
Yep, or any of them or all of them. I mean, it might be that you want the home and the car and the baby clothes for your family, for your, you know, your mum life, right? It might be all the same reason why you want those things. Yeah. Hi, Isha. Nice to see you, honey. It's nice you made it on. What do you mean? What was the second one, Kat?
Well, like I said, I completely missed the second one because my Zoom froze, so I didn't even get the 5
it's-
things.
5 things you want to do. So one of the things that's really important about this is, it's, you know, really, I need to be giving you only 30 seconds to do this, but because there is a little bit more, I'm giving you a bit more time. So I don't want you to kind of agonize over it for ages. Just kind of write down the first thing that comes to you. So the first thing that really comes to you, without writing down a whole sentence. You just want to write even just one word or a couple of words or a really short sentence, just so that you know that's why it gets to you in your heart. Okay. Mostly done? Yep, cool. So I'm going to give you a whole set of values. I'm sorry, I was actually going to make up a little a nice little chart for this, but I ran out of time today. So I'm just going to read them out to you. So what I want you to do is just write these down. Now, these are a whole lot of examples. So the first one's fun, leadership, peace, joy, love, integrity, adventure, freedom, contribution, security, family, trust, success, self-expression, congruency, education, responsibility, spirituality. Now, the reason why I've written all these values down, and you know, it's really important that you write them down too, is we're just going to talk about what values will you honor for your have to and be's. So
You've written that fast.
Oh, did you not get them?
Yeah,
Honey?
yeah, I missed some of them too.
Yeah, me
I
too.
missed like
Can you guys
50%.
see that?
Okay, yep, wait.
Can you
I'll
see?
take a screenshot, shall we?
Sorry, can't go
Oh,
back.
Sarah's on screen. I can't see you.
There we go.
Now Megan is.
Wait, what's the story about that? Because I kind of
Tanya, can you spotlight yourself, please, and then put the thing up so we can take a photo of it? Because you're not spotlighted.
Sure. I don't know how to spotlight myself. I can't
Okay,
spotlight
can you just
myself.
talk in the background while you hold it up?
Just talk in the background while you hold it up so that
Blah, 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 blah. Can you see it? Got it? Everyone got it?
works like a champ.
Okay. You're not. Everyone
Yeah,
got that now?
got it. Got it.
Cool. Okay. Oh, goody goodies. Should have thought of that before. Sorry, guys. My bad. All right. So now, when you look at these values, so again, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. And what I want you to do is write down your top 5 values that when you think about all your haves, your twos, and your bees, what are these honoring? And what are the most important to you? And do these work together with what you have just written down? Okay. So I'm
What's the
going to give you
value?
30 seconds because values are so important. We're not going to
I'm
do
pretty confused as to what we have to do.
so.
What is a value?
Hang on, and I'm just going to go back to gallery view because I can see you guys better. So basically, all you're going to do is you're going to write down within 30 seconds 5 of your top values. So look at those values. Look at those values. What are the most important to you? And you will find after that they will line up with everything that you've written down. So you've got 30 seconds to write those down. Remember, we're going into our heart for this one. Starting now.
What does congruency mean?
Good question.
In alignment with, to be congruent.
Okay.
Balanced, I suppose.
I could answer it. I still don't think so. What is to be congruent?
To be in alignment and balanced.
Oh, right.
What is a value, Angel? Okay, time's up, guys. A value is something that you believe in, something that is really important to you.
Those things, like those things that you just got us to write down. Those.
Yeah.
What?
So they usually come in. So they obviously come in with you, with who you are, with your temperament. But it's something that you are conditioned to love because of the way you were nurtured, the way you were raised. Yeah. Okay, so if you guys want to put those down, because what we're going to be looking at now is really just taking your top 3 out of those 5 that are, you could not live without them. Okay, you cannot live without those values. And those values are really, really important to you. And when you look at your 5 things in each of your have, bees, and do's, you'll find that they should match up, right? Share if you want to. Go ahead and share. Integrity, contribution, responsibility. Fabulous. Family, spirituality, freedom, security, adventure. What's your top 3, Sarah?
Would be the first 3 I wrote down: family, spirituality, and freedom.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Great. Love it. Congruency, peace, love. Very nice. Freedom, trust, family. Love, integrity, and spirituality. Love these. So now when you look at your 5 things that you've written down in each of those areas, do they match up? Are they, we're going to use that word again, congruent with what you've written down, right? Because these values are what's going to drive you. So if you've got something that's completely different, it's going to be really hard for you to achieve that, right? Because it's not alignment with you, it's not in alignment with your values, right? Do you understand what I mean by that? You guys all with me? Right, cool. So if you've got something that's really left field, you might actually think about, is this really what I want to do? And you might want to kind of reframe it a little bit or change it up a little bit. Okay, I'm sorry, Isha, I have to mute you, honey. It's a bit noisy. Okay, now this is when we get into the real stuff. So looking at your list and all those values that you have just written down, the things that are really, really important to you, what is the price you'll pay if you don't achieve those things, if you don't get them? So think about how you would, what that would look like in your life. So for example, if you've written down NMD, how would it feel if a year from now or 3 years from now or 4 years from now, you weren't there? You were still in the same place. How would that feel? So think about that. Think about that in a few years' time. If you're still in the same place, if you haven't got what it is that you really want to do, what price is that going to pay on you? How are you going to be feeling? How's it going to show up in your life? What's it going to do for you? Yeah, so I want you to write these down. Not impressed. Yeah, disappointed. Yeah. You're right, Michelle? We lost
Sorry,
you, honey.
Tanya, when
Yeah.
you asked us to write down our top 3 out of those 5, did you mean literally the ones we wrote down, the first 3 we wrote down first, or out of those 5, it could be any 3 of those?
The ones that speak mostly to you that you know you could not live without.
Okay. Yeah,
They
because I'm not
speak
sure.
really strongly to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure that those 3
It'll
work
speak
well
to you.
with some of the past things I've already written down.
Yeah. It'll speak really, really strongly to you. So you'll feel really strongly about those values if they're right for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Dwelling on where I messed up. Interesting. So once you've written those down, now I don't want you to kind of dwell on it for too long. Again, it's got to be kind of, you know, within the first 30 seconds to a minute. I've done my values previously, so freedom, integrity, activated. Third one is not on your list. Ah, okay. No, it's not on my list. This list was from Richard Bliss Brooks. It's an amazing list. Now, so I want you to think about the 5 top prices that you're going to pay. So for myself, if I had stayed in the same place, for example, the first thing would be I'd have this massive fear of failure, that I had failed myself and I had failed my husband and I had failed my children and I would have failed my team, you know, so all of that is massive fear of failure. So think about that. That's a price that you'll pay. So write down 5 prices that you would have paid if you don't get what it is that you really want to have, be, or do. Lots of thinking tonight, Michelle. And how's this going to show up in your life? So for example, if you know, said one of the things you wrote down was that you're going to take your children on a holiday, how's your children going to feel when you've been talking about it and it doesn't happen? So, you know, are you letting your family down? Or it might even be something practical, like say you've got a car written down on your list. Well, what's it going to look like in a year's time if you don't have a car? You're still going to be catching the bus, right? Or walking or riding your bike or whatever that looks like. Or, you know, getting other people to drive you around or Ubering or taxiing, right? So think about the practical things as well. But the most important things is obviously the feeling stuff. How are you going to feel? Because that's what's going to drive you. So we're looking at the pain that it's going to bring you if you don't get what you really want to do, be, and have. Feel free to share. Fear of failure, Kat. Yeah.
It's actually what I've been going through, some of it in the last week or so.
Have you?
Yeah.
The pain of what it would feel like if you didn't have it.
Mhm.
So then you'll really understand, Megan.
Mm.
Yeah. So, you know, and this stuff is not something that I want you to focus on, okay? Because at the end of the day, it's not, because sometimes it can actually not necessarily drive you, but it can keep you feeling really low, really depressed. We don't want that. So what I want you to do is just have that there, so you can, at times where you're like, oh, I can't be bothered doing this, I can't be bothered doing the work, when you make a decision to, I don't want to do that today, you can look at that and go, shit, that's what it's going to be like if I don't do what I say I want to do, or what I feel that I really want to do. And then you're not going to have that sense of fulfillment. You're not going to have it. Who's fulfilled when you're not doing something that you really love doing and that you really want to do? So it's not just about getting there, but it's also the journey to get there, right? So when we think about the who do we want to be, if we've put down that we want to be, and we use Sarah's example, a teacher, how fun is that journey of getting there and learning to teach, right? The learning, the growth that you're going to go through to actually get there. How fulfilling is that? And I think when we think about it, the most fulfilling part of our have be, do be is always be, because it's really emotional, right? And it's based on, how do I want to show up for myself, for my family, for my team, for the world? How do I want to show up? How do I want to be remembered when I pass away? How do I want people to know me as? And that's way more fulfilling. Okay, so have you all got your pain?
That thing about passing away is exactly what I think about. Like, it kind of comes up when I've attended a funeral for someone else. It's like I come home thinking, okay, how do I want to be remembered?
Yep, that's right. Yeah. So this is something that, and I've actually written this down. So I have this exact thing written down. I'll show you. And I've actually written it up like, where is it? On it's landscape. So here's mine. What I want on one side. Can you see it? What I want on one side, and then the pain of not having it on the other. And I've got it on my desk all the time. So if I have a day when I go, I can't do it today, I don't want to do it, it's just not, I just can't go there today, I pull this out and I look at pain of staying the same, and I read it, and it just jolts me back into reality. Is that really what I want from myself? Is that what I want for you guys? Because a lot of stuff on here is about you guys too, right? How I can show up and contribute to your lives and make your lives better, help you make your lives better. So yeah. So you could even do the same thing. You can have pain of staying the same on one side and the perceived pain of change. Oh, so the not the perceived pain of change, but what you want on the other side. So what you're going to, what you're doing this for. So the 5 things you want to have, the 5 things you want to do, the 5 things you want to be. And if you've only written 2 or 3 things down, that's okay. Okay, so I'm just going to write some of these down. Devaluing myself. Yeah, what does that look like, Kieran? Now you're unmuted. You're muted now. You're muted now, Kieran. Unmute yourself.
I love technology. I really
Yeah.
And my first response was GD horrible. It's like being bottom of the pond scum, lower than that. That's how it feels.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to swear.
That's shit. So, you know, being really hard on yourself and pulling yourself to pieces. I have massive fear of failure, letting my girls down, sad with not creating memories. Yeah, I get that, Sarah. This is what drove me to push into the business. Yeah. So you kind of had that space, didn't you, Angel, where you felt the pain and you couldn't actually reach out and get back into it, but it must have got too much for you, right? Yeah. Same, Angel. Thank you for sharing this about yourself, because from my viewpoint, you don't seem to have many challenging, struggling days. Was this for me, Karen? Oh shit, yeah, I have lots of days like that. I have days like that. Yeah.
I know,
I
but
just
I'm just
don't,
saying,
I just don't, it just doesn't look like I have days like that, because you don't moan to your downline, you moan to your upline.
yes,
Just the way it goes. Imagine if I was moaning to you guys all day, how inspiring would that be? Would you be like, oh, this is such a great positive community, I really want to be part of this? No. So yeah. And trapped and let down. Yeah, trapped. Freedom must be your big thing, is it, Michelle? Is it? Is freedom one of your values? Yeah, trapped. Because this is something that Richard Bliss Brooks talks about a lot, and his one of his biggest values is freedom, and he talked about that, about being trapped, how he can't stand the feeling of being trapped. Yeah. And let down. By letting yourself down, or letting others down. Oh, letting your boys down. Yeah. Yeah, I get that, because I'm the same, feeling like I'm failing my kids. The other thing is too, when you say like it's integrity, when you say you're going to do something and then you don't do it, that's the thing for me. Yeah. I will be going.
I think I get to the point that I just don't want to go back to where I was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, that's the whole idea of writing this down. So you can remind yourself when you have those shit days and you're making a decision, like Tony Robbins talked about, you're making a decision to not do the work that you need to do to get to where you want to be, or to be and do what you want. Then you can read this and go, oh, okay, I need to make a better decision right now. And what can we do to you know, actually show up if we don't feel like showing up? What is something, I'm actually going to be talking about this on my task for the Reignite Challenge on Friday, but I will give you guys a little insight into it. So, you know, and that is just essentially just changing your state and how you feel, and just feeling really good. And this can be done, you know, for some, you know, and I just want to share a little bit about when I first started looking at this years and years ago, about, you know, changing your state and what it can do for you. Is when you're stuck and feeling depressed and feeling low and beating yourself up and worrying, so worry is my huge thing, it's really hard to change your mindset in the moment. Really hard, right? Really difficult. So the best way to do it, that I found a lot simpler for me, is either getting up, putting on some music and dancing around the room. Music always lifts me up. And the other thing is gratitude. When you are thinking and you're grateful about something, there's no way you can feel depressed, angry, sad, miserable, frustrated, doubtful, fearful. You can't. It's just not possible. So those are two really good ways that you can instantly get out of that crap feeling of, I don't feel so good, I don't want to do this right now. I want to make a decision to do something better, but I don't know how to do that. So that's how you can change it. That's pulled me through the last week, what I've just talked about, Sarah. Gratitude.
Yeah, each morning I've been waking up before I even do anything, and I've been writing in my gratitude journal.
Yeah.
And then each night, because I've pretty much been at home alone with Ella, each evening before I go to sleep, I write another 3 things I'm grateful for from the day. And it's actually pulled me through the rough week that we've had. So yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing too, you know, another thing that I'm going to talk about on Friday is our language is really, really powerful. So when we are writing something and speaking it as well. So if you writing it's great, but actually speaking it as well, which is why affirmations are really important. And as we speak it, because writing and so when you write something down, it becomes a thought, and then the thought becomes an emotion. So it's actually bringing that emotion into it as well. So every time you write it, you say it, and the more you say it, the more you start to feel it. And when you feel it, that's what changes your state in every moment. It's really cool. All right, guys. Well, I'm just going to let you go now because it's 8:35. I've kept you on here for 45 minutes already, so I won't keep you any longer unless you guys have any questions. Hopefully that was helpful. I'm going to find that other really cool video because it's so powerful. It made me cry, and I want to find it for you guys. Anyway, you have a beautiful evening, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, some of you. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.